A customer sent in their Frigidaire oven controller board. The issue that they were experiencing and that we're going to show you how to fix today is that they have a very dim display. As you can see, it's very difficult to see what's on the screen. If we turn the lights off, now we can see the display. Now, if you do a little bit of research online, you might find that some forum posts suggest that you need to replace the capacitors on the circuit board. That's typically not the case, not for these types of circuit boards. The actual fix is to simply replace the display itself. So that's what we're going to do. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Nick. I started Nick's Electronics Repair over a decade ago, and since then have fixed over 1,000 of these oven controller boards. For the display replacement, we're going to flip the board over, and we're going to go ahead and desolder it. Now, if we take a look at the top side, we'll notice that there are 3 pins over here and 3 pins over here. Those are our support pins. We're going to go ahead and desolder those first. I like to start by adding some solder first. That'll help with flow. The solder also has some flux embedded in it, which further helps with the flow. Next, we can go ahead and use the desolder wick, which also has flux embedded in it. And now let's see. My pins are loose, they're free and clear. We'll move on to the next set of support pins. And of course, we'll use the exact same process, add a little solder first, and then come in with the desolder wick. Quick double check, are my pins loose? They are. Now that the support pins are desoldered, we can lift the display off on that side. And next we'll do the same on the other side. So these are the bottom support. And then in between all of those supports, right here, we have a large row of data lines. And so same thing, I'm just getting good flow on all of these. And it looks like my display is falling out. So let me try and wiggle it out, and there we go. It is now free and clear. Now, if we compare our replacement display to the original, we'll notice that the replacement does not have the support pins at the top. We'll also notice that there are 3 support pins at the bottom of the original, and our replacement only has 2, but that's going to be okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, clean up this processor chip over here from any dust, dirt, residue. And the reason we're going to do this is because we're going to use that as part of our support for our replacement display. Now, we both offer the repair services as well as the display as a repair kit. So if you are interested in trying to fix this yourself and you want to buy just the display from us, we're going to include this double-sided pad that you can then place on the processor. And we're just going to remove the white tape cover. There we go. Now, sometimes on your display, you'll notice maybe a pin or 2 is a little bit bent. So we want to make sure those are lined up exactly as they need to be. And we'll go ahead and slowly feed it through, kind of wiggling it back and forth until all the pins are lined up as they should. All right, and then I'm going to press the display down a little bit, make sure that we have good contact, make sure the alignment is good. We'll flip the board back over. All right, and I am noticing that the display, the pins, are not protruding through all the way. If that's happening to you, what we're going to do here is we're going to add just a little bit of solder to our support pins on the end. And then I'm reaching under the board right now with my other hand, and I am going to flow those 2 pins and push the display through just a tiny little bit. We don't want it too much. Oh, and you know what? I let it go before the solder had solidified. So we're gonna do it again. Push through. I'm keeping pressure, keeping pressure. Okay, I think it's solidified, so I can let it go, and it did not move this time. We're gonna move to the opposite side. Same thing. We're adding a little solder. Okay, now I have my hand underneath, and I'm gonna push it through, or put pressure on the display. Not too much, just enough so that it's protruding a tiny little bit. Let's look at it at an angle so you can see. This is how much we want the legs to protrude through for the display. So right here behind are the legs of the IC chip, and in front are the legs of the display that are not soldered. So that's how much we have it protruding through right now. Now we can go ahead and start adding solder to each joint one by one. If you would like to send in your oven controller board for us to fix, we do offer flat rate services, which come with a 1-year warranty, and those are available on our website, which I will link in the video description down below. And something else I noticed is that this one we desoldered accidentally when desoldering the support pins. So we're just adding a little bit more new solder to it. And something else I noticed is that it seems like I don't really have the pin right here. It's kind of missing. So let's figure out why. I'm gonna desolder that a little bit. And we'll notice I can see the pin, but it's not pushed through all the way. Let's zoom in on it from the top. Looks like everything is in there, but if we look at it at an angle, yeah, we'll notice this middle pin is pushed up. So let's push it down so it's lined up right. Yeah, it's a little much, so now it's protruding through more than the rest, but I don't think it's gonna be to the point where we need to correct that. So let's go ahead and solder it down now. We're gonna add a little bit more solder and touch up the joints next to it, since I did desolder those accidentally a little bit. All right, and that looks good. So let's go ahead and plug it in and see the results. That is much, much brighter. If we take a look, we can very vividly see the display. Now I don't have the cover that helps remove some of that glare, but you should be able to see a big difference in the display on the front camera at this angle. Now, of course, if we turn the lights off, it's much more bright, very, very obvious. If we look at it from the top camera, same thing. Now, before we close out this video, we're gonna do a little bonus repair. Something I didn't tell you yet is that the customer was suffering from both the display being dim, and then secondly, the oven was not reaching the temperature. They were stating that it was hitting about 100 Fahrenheit, but would not go any higher. So let's take a closer look, more specifically around these two relays, and see if we can find an issue. So when looking at the back side, we have a couple of joints here, and these are some of the relay joints. We can see a little bit of stress fracturing going on the perimeter of the joints, but it's not on 100% of the joints. This one actually looks okay. This one, again, we're seeing a little bit of stress fracture around it, but not on this bottom side. So I don't think that would necessarily be the cause. And just to clarify, this big joint, here and here, those are where the high voltages are going through. So your AC voltage from the wall goes through this relay and then out to the actual heating elements for your bake and broil. But down here, we have two much smaller pins, and those are the pins that has the low 12 volts going through it that tells it whether or not to activate the relay and allow the flow of power. So if these little joints down here also have cracked joints, they can't really send that signal that tells the oven to activate the bake or broil element. So on this one, we can see actually full separation on the bottom, and we do see stress on 100% of the perimeter there of that joint. Let's look at this one. We do see some stress, but I don't see that full separation that we were seeing on this one right here. Let's look at the other one here. Oh yeah, this one is also very stressed, and I can see kind of a dark line. When you see that dark line, that means we have a gap. So it's right there. And when we have a gap, that means we have full separation between the joint. Oh my gosh, yeah, look at this one. This one's really bad. This one's the worst one, actually. But if I put pressure on this leg, we can see that it's actually completely free moving inside the joint. So there is 100% separation. You see that? So the joint is moving, but the board is not moving. So that means that it is completely separated, and whenever we have the oven send out that signal that says to the relay to activate so that power can flow through from the wall outlet all the way through the heating elements, well, that signal can't go through because there's full separation on that pin. That is why the customer is experiencing a problem with the oven not heating up to temperature. So it's really hard to spot a lot of those micro fractures. Obviously, we're using a microscope. We're taking a very close look. I also know exactly where to look, so that makes it a little bit easier for us to identify these faults. But these types of fractures actually happen on a good percentage of this board. So we're just adding a little bit of fresh solder. We're going to do the same to the larger joints as well. Of course, they're not fully separated or cracked yet, but if we didn't do this, maybe within 6 months, 9 months, a year, probably not more than a year, we would have a repeat failure. That is the relays for the bake and the broil elements. Now, if we go ahead and look at the top, we also have spade pins that connect a lot of our wiring to the circuit board, and those can also get heavily stressed. So this one in particular right now looks very stressed. I can see cracking to starting. So same thing, we like to reflow all of these. If we don't, then those areas are also prone to fail over time. So same process, we're just reflowing, we're adding a bunch of new solder and reforming those bonds that have simply just weakened over time from natural wear and tear. Now, whenever you send us your board for us to fix, we always will repair the immediate fault first, confirm that we've resolved that issue, but then we will go through the entire circuit board and we're going to do touch-up work just like this to make sure that once we're done with it, we didn't just fix it, but we actually fully refurbished it, meaning all of the common areas that are known to fail have been worked on so that we're not going to be sending it back with another problem potentially occurring in the near future. Okay, so that's all of our joints there, but we're not done yet. There's more. If we now go down a little bit, we'll notice this row of joints and this row of joints. If we'll flip it over, that's going to be our J3 connector and our J1 connector over here. Let's zoom in. Let's take a look. Again, we're seeing a little bit of stress occurring around this joint. This one has a little stress, but it's pretty good. Good, good, good. Oh, and again, ooh, we're seeing a crack there. A lot of stress on this joint. Take a look over here. Same problem. This first one, we can see full separation here. So when these types of joints will separate, we'll typically see an F3, F1 error code. Yeah, look at this one. This one's really bad. We have a full separation there as well. So we're definitely going to want to touch these guys up. So for these, I'm going to actually just add a little bit of flux. And we're still going to add a little bit of solder as well. But it's just going to, that flux is just going to help me get a little bit better flow on my joints. Probably not fully necessary since, again, like I mentioned earlier, my solder has flux embedded in it. But it's not going to harm or negatively affect my solder job. So. But you know what? I don't think it's really helping much, so that was probably unnecessary. I don't feel like I'm getting much better flow than if I did not use additional flux. Okay, we're still not done yet. There is another area, which is our transformer. Let's flip that over. So really zooming in, I'm actually seeing a tiny bit of stress, but not a fracture. These are good. The very last one to the left, I think there's a little bit of a crack forming, but it's not really there yet. Let's go to the bottom side. Those actually look pretty good, not too bad, but we definitely have some stress forming. So if we don't touch these up, again, most likely we'll have a failure in the near future. And you know what? That joint, for some reason, is giving me a little bit of a hard time. I don't feel like I'm getting the flow that I really should, and I think that's still not good. I have good flow on the pad, but my solder is not really adhering to the pin in a way that I would like it to. So I just desoldered the whole thing, and actually that took care of it, yeah. So now I have much better flow towards the pin itself. But what was happening was the solder felt like it was adhering well to the pad itself on the circuit board, but not at all to the pin of the transformer. So that can happen if there is impurities, so corrosion, oxidation on the metal of the pin. And so by desoldering it, that will help clean it up. If it did not help, I would probably have re-desoldered it again and then use isopropyl alcohol with a brush to clean up the pin, and then we would try again with the soldering iron. All right, so that is all of our transformer pins. And this is the very last one, I promise. We have our J2 connector, which is the connector that is orange. Those pins are also prone to cracking, and I can already see it without zooming in too much. But we have a lot of stress. That very last one is very much cracked and fully separated as well. All right, same thing. We're gonna go ahead and add some solder to all of these joints, touch them up, get good flow. And for these ones, I'm thinking I might just add a little bit of flux afterwards and touch them up one more time. Yeah, look at that. Those joints look a lot better. All right, we'll do a little bit of a cleanup throughout the board. I added some flux. I added a lot of solder that has flux embedded in it, so there's a lot of flux residue throughout the board. So we're just going to do a thorough cleaning, remove all of that. The last thing that I did off screen is actually also replace some of our capacitors here, because those are also known to commonly fail. And that does complete our full repair and refurbishment for this oven controller board. If you found the video helpful or useful, make sure to leave us a like, subscribe for more content, and thank you for watching.